subscribe, hit that like button, rate and read the pod on Apple Podcasts, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of The Boss Sauce. Today, I have Dalia, who is a Reels expert and a social media coach. Dalia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. So we'll just get into it, Dalia. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started with social media?
Yes. So I am originally from Peru. I moved to the States when I was about 18, 19. And at that point, I didn't know what I was doing with my life, really. But I was always very kind of pulled towards visuals, design, video, that kind of stuff. Social media wasn't huge back then. So I went in to learn about graphic design, animation. So it was always like that kind of stuff. Um, but then at some point, I kind of just left it. And the way that I got into this specifically was because I finished a degree on like entrepreneurship, business with like focus on entrepreneurship. I've always been an entrepreneur. And a friend of mine who is a brand photographer, she asked me if I could come to one of her photo shoots and do some video for her. And I was like, I don't know anything about video. Like, I mean, I like watching stuff, but like, I don't know what am I supposed to do. But I've always been a yes person. So I was like, you know what? I'll go. Just kind of give me a little guidance and I'll do my best, right? So she gave me a few pointers on what to do. And then I just kind of like immediately took on it. Like I liked it. I loved it. She had 10 people that day because she will do mini photo shoots. So she had 10 people there for the whole day. And then whenever she will finish one person, she will send them to me and then I will do video of them for Reels. And just quick little, what we call B-roll nowadays, those videos that are like super quick, somebody like kind of writing on the computer or like, relaxing by the pool or that kind of stuff. And then I just loved working with people and being able to bring out that personality and that joy from people because they were all, before I came in, they were all like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to show up on video. And mine, I didn't know either. But
Right.
I'm a very confident person. So I will just go in and be like, you know what? This is what we're supposed to do. Let's do it, but let's put a little bit of us in there. Let's do, what do you like? Like, how are you? Are you like more upbeat? Are you more like mellow? How can we put that in here in this video? So I fell in love with that. And she recommended me to my friend. She recommended me to other people. And then the people that I, helped also recommended me. And that's how it all started.
Wow. So at the time, um, you just got started. How did you learn about Reels and becoming like this social media expert guru?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I really didn't know much about it. Besides that, they were like the thing because I started a couple years ago. Yeah, almost like 3 years ago. And that's when like Reels were just coming out. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, at the beginning of it, right? So I didn't know much of it. Just the reels that were popular were the ones that people were like pointing at things, and then you were
Dancing.
dancing. Yeah, the dancing. Those were the popular ones, and I love dancing, so I was just like, I'm just gonna go all in and do some pointing and some dancing and see what happens in here. Like I said, I've always been a yes person, so I just like went for it and started trying it out. And that's something I recommend too. Like, I feel like a lot of times we get stuck on, oh my God, it's not perfect. Like, I don't know what to do. But social media is a lot about trying it out. It's a lot about just putting yourself out there, try different ways to reach people and see which one sticks. Like that is the first thing that I tell clients, like clients that are just starting, I tell them like, don't be afraid. Let me know everything you've been wanting to try. Let's figure out how we can connect it to your content. And let's try it all. And then at the end of the month, we're going to see which one did your people connected to the most. And then we're going to repeat those. But you have to go through that trial time.
Right. So would you say that it's a mix of trial and error and kind of reverse engineering your strategy with like growing on Reels?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that on all social media in general because it's constantly changing. So even if you found something that was working and you did it for, let's say, 3 months and it was good, at some point it's going to stop working again because social media is changing. It's changing
Right.
constantly. So you always kind of have to keep trying things and yes, stick to what does work. But on the side, on like one of the posts, maybe like try something new because it's always going to keep updating, keep changing. And the platforms add new things and they want you to use them. So the more you use those new tools, new features, they kind of help you more. They push you towards like the store page and they push for your content to be out and reach more people. So you always wanna be trying the new things as well.
Right. Did you learn that on your own, or did you like learn online, like how, like for example, like for the features, like I know that when, for example, Instagram, when they roll out a new feature, like that you want to use it right away because Instagram will kind of reward you. But I learned that through like other creators and other social media gurus. Did you learn that on your own, or do you have like a list of people that you follow, or like did you take courses or anything like that?
That's a good question. I learned a lot of stuff on my own just by trial and error, but I did take, I'd say a couple of courses. Um, so I rely a lot on building community through social media, not only for clients, but also for colleagues. Because as you know, entrepreneurship is kind of a lonely journey, right? Because you take on everything, you do everything at the beginning, at least.
Especially if
So
you're a solopreneur.
yes, exactly. Like, I mean, all of us are solopreneurs at the beginning, eventually, yeah, you start delegating, but it can be lonely in those situations. So I've always been the kind of person that loves creating community. So I always have like a really close group of friends. I'm very connected with the people I work with. So I figure, how can I do that here? So I started kind of connecting with colleagues a lot and then try to let them know like, hey, my door's open if you need anything. And, like telling them what my struggles were too, because it's not it's a two-way relationship, right? You all also have to be vulnerable. So I did that a lot, and that helped me to create this community and this circle of friend colleagues that I have in there. So if I didn't see something, then somebody would come in and be like, hey, did you hear the news or this and this and that? And we'll be like, oh, I didn't. And the next time I'll be like, hey, I found this course that was really good, that like taught me how to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, you should get into this. So having that community is huge, and I recommend it to everyone. I started following accounts that I was inspired by. So people that I connected with and then I wanted to know more about, and like that kind of brought me in towards them. Because they created like an experience, which is what I wanted to do with my content. Because
Right.
at the beginning, I've always been a very confident person, a very social person, but I didn't know how to put all of this on my content. So I just kept like thinking like, I know I attract people, like, but why is it not working on social media? Because there is a process to go through, and you can't just grab everything from your personality and put it there. Like there are specifics you have to kind of read on your ideal client, which is the person you want to work with. There's so many things, right? So I didn't know that back then, but I learned a lot having that community and then just following people that were in my niche, that were at the level where I wanted to be.
I love that. I think that is so important, especially if you're trying to grow on social media, because like you said, you'll basically kind of stay in the loop in terms of the trends and the latest updates. But I think even in entrepreneurship as well, that's so important because it's it's kind of nice to see that other people are going through the same thing that you are, I feel like they'll understand, especially like you said, entrepreneurship can be kind of lonely, especially if you're a solopreneur. So I definitely agree with that 100%. When did you realize that you can charge for your skills as a Reels expert?
So when I worked with that one friend, she started bringing me back for all of her mini sessions that she did. And she told me, like, you can charge for this and I'm going to pay you for this. I'm going to start you at this amount, but I want you for the next time to figure out how much you think you should earn, right? And for me, it was like, well, I just started with this scale. I guess I can kind of figure out how much I want to get paid. So I started doing research on how other people got paid for this. And then I went on those accounts and people that I was following that already had different services. And I looked into it and I was like, okay, they're getting, they're charging this much. How do I connect it, right? So I started thinking about the time that it took me to, one, film the content, two, edit the content, three, posting if that's what I was doing, because I had different abilities in there, right? So I was advised by a really good friend who's also a coach, a business coach, to come up with just one offer. Instead of trying to figure out a bunch of different things, just come up with one thing, your signature offer, and focus on selling that. Focus on that one and nothing else for a while until you kind of got more known in the industry and everything, and then you could add more stuff, right? So that's what I did. I decided that I wanted to offer I wanted to create reels for businesses through the whole process. So come up with the ideas, film with them, and edit after that, and then give them reels that were already completely done for them. And all they had to do was just post them. So it had captions as well, like captions were included. So all they had to do was figure out when they wanted to post. That's how I started. Eventually I added another offer where I could post it for you, but like that's how I started initially. And then to figure out how much I was going to charge for that, I thought about how long would each part of the process will take me. So I split it up on, okay, content strategy, right? Ideation, where I'm coming up with all the ideas. I have to do research for them, find out about their brand. I'm going to have to do research for people in their industry, right? That what's popping in their industry, what's hot in their industry. That's going to take me time. And then I'm going to have to figure out about their brand for audios, because at that time, trending audios were everything. So I had to have the trending audios for them that were just getting, rising up so we can ride the train, but they had to connect to the brand. So I had to know exactly like what kind of brand voice did they have. So it was a huge, it was a lot at the beginning because I didn't know how to do it effectively at the beginning. So it would take me a lot of time, but I split it up into three different parts, right? The first part, the ideation part, where I think I ended up putting about like maybe like 4 hours on that part. And then I went to the content creation part, which I had a little more experience with because I was already kind of creating my own content. And I knew how to direct with the filming. So then I'll come in with the ideas and I'll tell my client, like, this is what I want you to do. I want you to do this. I'm going to move around and blah, blah, blah. So for that, I will assign how many hours I did. Right? And then for the editing, I will think about, okay, how much time does each reel going to take? And then when I put it all together, let's say at the end, they were 14 hours, the whole thing. Then I'll figure out how much do I want to get paid per hour. And then, as a business owner, if you say like, I want to get paid, $60 an hour, you're not going to get the $60 because you have to pay taxes and like
Right.
all the tools that you use and all of that stuff. So if you get paid half of that, then that's good, because you're gonna have to figure out all the rest goes to pay a lot of other stuff, right? So that's what I had in mind, which I learned from my business coach friend, who told me, like, I didn't know that either. At first I was like, oh, well, I want to get paid $30 an hour. She's like, okay, then you have to charge $60 an hour. What? She's like,
Right.
yeah, you have to take into account all the taxes and everything else. Oh, I didn't know that. So then let's say, I think at that point I wanted, since I was just starting, I picked $25 an hour. So she's like, okay, you're going to charge 50. So then I did 50 times the hours that I thought it was going to take me. And then that was my package. Like, this is how much I want to start at. And that's how I started. But it seems like an overwhelming process, and it can kind of be for a beginner, but it
Totally.
really did help. Yeah, it really did help kind of having that um, the logistics figured out, so I could feel confident about my price and not feel like, oh my God, it's too little, or oh my God, it's too much, you know?
Right. Did you look at what other people were charging, like within your niche or within the industry to get a baseline for your prices? Or did you just come up with, oh, I want to pay myself like $30?
No, I did look into it as well. And then I also looked into how much I was willing to get started. Because there are people, people can charge whatever they want, really. And it all just depends on your scale and how do you promote yourself? How do you market yourself? And the value that you show people that you provide. Because you could be very skillful and be an expert at something, but if you don't know how to show that, how to showcase that in your marketing, then people are not going to believe in the value that you're giving. So those are the things that I needed to understand right away. And I did quickly, because like I said, I'm a pretty confident person. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm worth, let's say at that point, I think it was $25. Like, I feel like I'm worth $25 an hour. Like, as a beginner, that's a good start. And then I looked into what other people were getting paid, and it seemed kind of like, low to medium
I was about to
range.
say low.
Yeah. It was like, at that point, I think it was like low to medium, something like around there. And I felt comfortable with it. Like, I feel okay with this. I'm just starting. Let's do it. Because like I said, I wanted to have a good price where I wasn't going to feel like, oh my God, this is not enough. Like, I need to make sure that this is not just a side business, but I want to like evolve into something. So it needs to pay enough, for me to put all my time and effort into it.
Right. To make it
So
worth it.
yeah, exactly. Like, and just be excited about it. Because if you're not getting paid, then, you're not getting paid enough. You're not excited about it. You're like, oh man, I got to do that. That I'm going to be making like half of what I make on my regular job right now. And, so I rather approached it from a positive mindset side and really got to a price point that I was going to feel comfortable at. So yeah, that's how I got there.
What advice do you have for entrepreneurs that are just starting out, but they're not necessarily getting the clients right away? And how do you stay not discouraged?
Not discouraged. Okay. Yeah, that it's hard. It's definitely hard when you have all the excitement and you're like willing, you're ready to work, and then you just hear crickets. I know exactly what that feels like. And it's hard to find that motivation. But I think the most important part is to really know your why and really spend some time writing this down, and just so at any point when you feel like, oh my God, can I keep going with this? Then you look into that why that you wrote down, and it's like, oh, okay, this is why I do it. This is like beyond I need to make money, or beyond I just want to help people. Like, no, get very specific of like, what you're doing, how does it connect to your purpose in this? Like, that's how deep it needs to get. You need to like write down everything in there, and it needs to be really deep for you to so it gets you out of that state of mind when you're like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing this. Like, it needs to be something big, so when you read it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. This I need to keep pushing forward. And as for like getting clients at the beginning too, I feel like you need to make sure that you're putting yourself out there, and at first offering things at a discounted price or even for free if you know that you're going to get a good testimonial out of it. Because if you can show that you're doing a good job, it's like priceless. Because that already, like the testimonial, is going to be so valuable for you to show it on all your marketing. And that's going to get you more people. So I feel like a lot of times we wallow in the fact that like, oh, we're not getting clients, like we're not getting clients. But sometimes you kind of keep thinking like, okay, well, I have it already. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I have the action steps for people to take. Why are they not coming to me? Like, why are they not buying? Why? And sometimes it's because you don't have enough testimonials, maybe, like, or people don't see you enough. Like you have to repeat your offer constantly. They say that it takes 7 times for someone to see something to actually buy it. So
Oh,
are
wow.
you
I didn't
putting
know
yourself
that.
out there? Yeah, it's crazy. Like, are you putting yourself out there 7 times? Like, or you just put it once and you're like, okay, they're going to come to me. Like, it doesn't happen that way. You have to see it come.
Right, right. Would you say that, or how do you balance your client's social media and your social media, like your marketing yourself? Because obviously that is a big, important part with entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a struggle at the beginning for sure. And it was not only with me because I talked to like my colleagues, the circle that I talked about that I mentioned, and they were all kind of going through it too, like, or they either went through it at some point or they were going through it at a moment, and it was just like, okay, I'm not alone. And that's also nice to see, like, okay, I'm not the only one that's struggling. People deal with this and they figured it out. I can figure it out too, right? So what I did is for my clients, I came up with a very strict system that I followed. And I had to prioritize. I kind of worked on an organization like management and organization platform like Trello, for example. I started using it and it helped me a lot seeing all the tasks that I needed to get done for clients and having a system, a specific, very strict system for clients on how to how do they start? Like, how do I start with them onboarding process to how do I start creating content for them? How do I edit their content and how to like all of the steps, right? All outlined so I can know exactly what's happening. Now for my content, I try to do that for my content and it just wasn't working because I think I'm a very creative person. And a lot of times I just want to create on the go. This is not the same for everyone, but what I found that works for me is to have this system for my clients and follow it. And then for myself, just kind of have like a base of what I'm going to talk about. So there is still strategy on it, but I don't necessarily batch everything, batch film everything. So
Really?
I sometimes batch, yeah, I batch film a few things and then sometimes it's like, no, I'm just going to leave that for the moment. Or sometimes I have, let's say, 4 reels for the week and they're already ready to go. Then something happens and I'm like, no, I want to do a new one. And I'll just push the other one. Like whatever I had for the week, I'll just push it to next week and then include the one that I want to do. But that doesn't work that well for clients because you want to make sure that since you're managing somebody else's content, you want to make sure that their content is strategically placed, right? But for your own content, at least for in my situation, since I already know all the in and outs of my strategy, I can kind of play match with a chess with it, right? Like kind of move it around and be like, all right, well, this was about my goal with this post was reach. And this one that I'm coming up with is also reach. So I can move this one out and put this other one that has the same goal, right? Perfect. That will work. It's a little more difficult for client stuff because now you have somebody else that you're dealing with. So it's better to give them the peace of mind of having something that it's already in a system and organized and nice, right? Because that's what I would like if somebody was doing it for me. That's what I would like. I want to have everything ready and organized and pretty. But for my own content, I like to kind of create on the go a lot.
I love that. I feel like with clients, since I do like social media management, content creation, I find that they like more structure and they want to know in advance, like if you have like another idea or want to post something else. But I kind of love that because I think some of the best content comes out of being spontaneous and having that idea when you're not like when you're basically in like a creative flow. Because I think some of the best ideas come when you're not trying to do anything. It'll just naturally be organic. But
Yeah, you just go for it. Like I do this a lot of times where I'm just about to create a story about something, and then I start a story, and I'm like, this could be a post. Let's just make it a post. And then in the moment, I just make it a post because we don't realize a lot of times that, and I've seen this with clients too, that they will put a lot of good value content on their stories and not enough on their feed. So I had to kind of guide them to move that. And I've been doing that with my own content too, because sometimes there's something that you want to expand on, and stories are not the place to all the time expand on something. Stories are the place for people to get to know you and see like, the fun things that you do, like what makes you, like really get to know your personality. And yes, you can sell on stories, but it also has to be connected to what's going on in your life, right? And I have noticed that the stories where people are just like ranting, like rambling about whatever is going on, it just they don't do that well, because it's like it's a long thought instead of just taking a minute and structurizing that thought and making it into a reel and just put it out there. You know what I mean? It's so much faster, and then you can rumble on the caption if you want, but that's like it just works better, and it's on your feed, and people see your feed. Stories, you don't see them. You only see them for 24 hours, and then that beautiful, amazing thought that you had that had a lot of value, now people can't see it anymore. So in my opinion, like I've been doing that a lot, and it's been working so much better. And I've been doing it for clients too, and it gives them an extra piece of content as well.
that's true.
So
I think that you could even do like a live stream, like you mentioned the other day. Like I think if you did that as well, because it would still save as a video that you could always like repurpose onto wherever you're posting it.
oh yeah, definitely. But a lot of times, at least, I mean, this happened with my clients too, that they hesitate getting on lives because it just feels like you kind of have to be ready. Because talking live, you might mess up a few words, or you might like lose your train of thought. So there's all this fear of putting yourself out there that people don't do it often enough, and then they don't realize that being able to be really good at speaking comes with practice. So if you don't push yourself to do it, then you're never going to be good at it. Like I didn't start this way. At first, I will lose my train of thought. I will be like, oh, what did I say? I will be looking at my notes constantly. Like, like it was not easy at the beginning, but it took a lot of time, a lot of practice, and I'm much better at it now. And I can actually bring in my personality, which is the goal. Like we want to see your personality, right? So yeah, a lot of times people kind of feel like lives are a little too much. So that's why I start with stories. So if people are not showing up on stories, I'm like, we need to put you on stories. Let's see a way that, you can show up a little more in there. And I just started with like something super simple. Like, what are you doing today? Just show us. You don't even have to show up. It doesn't have to be your face. Just show. You went to the park with your kids. Show that. Show like just a 5-second thing of like your kids running in the park. That's it. Just show a little part of your day. That's what people want. They want to connect.
That is very true. I will say that my stories that are like of my personal life, not something that I'm trying to promote, they always tend to do better because I think that, not that this is bad, but I do think that sometimes my audience can be very curious, maybe even nosy as to what my personal life is like and what we're doing. I do have a question. I don't know if you do you ever listen to Vanessa Loud like on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember her in a video saying that you should not post anything that's not relevant to your business or content until you get that huge following where it's okay. Because when your audience sees something that's not related to your business, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't expect that. Why am I seeing this type of content? That's not what I signed up for. Like, if you, for example, I signed up for social media strategy, but I don't want to see what you're eating right now. Would you disagree with what she is saying in terms of posting things that are not relevant to your content?
I don't disagree. So I think I needed to be a little more specific. So when I said that you can transform your story into a post, I meant more when you're going to talk or you're going to say something about your business that's related to your business. Because on our stories, yes, we're putting personal stuff, but you should also be mentioning at least have one post about your business every day. Like even if it's just mentioning your freebie or mentioning the live that you're going to have in a few days, like something needs to be in there about your business, right? So that was the part that I was mentioning, not the part that you're on a walk with your kids in the park and you want to post it on your as a reel. If you do want to do that, you can have it as b-roll and then put something about your business on captions. Then that makes it okay, but not just showing unless it's like a birthday or like a special, celebration, and maybe you want to share with people. But yeah, so what I meant mostly, let me give you an example. For example, on May the 4th, it's Star Wars Day. I don't know if you know this, but May
Yes.
the 4th be with you. Yeah. So I love Star Wars. Not like a huge, huge fan, but like I've always loved the storytelling on Star Wars. And when that day happened, I was like, oh, I want to post something on my stories about like storytelling because that's huge for your content as well. So I started like recording something, being like, "May the fourth be with you. Did you know that Star Wars is based on like storytelling and it's the hero's journey and it's like this huge thing?" And I started thinking, you know what? This applies to my content. Why don't I make this into a carousel and I go more in depth on what the hero's journey is and how storytelling connects to making content. So that's what I was trying to explain more of, like, if it's something that relates to your niche and relates to your content, but it kind of just happens to pop in your head for a story, then maybe grab it and be like, okay, let's make this into a post because it applies. Does that make sense?
Right. Like still finding a way to make it like relevant, like at least connect in some way to like your offer or like what you said,
Yeah.
like your whatever story you're trying to tell.
Your industry. You always have to find a way to connect it to your industry. And the more you do it, the easier it feels to add. And I've noticed a lot, like, the more you know and the more you start doing things for your business and you start putting it out in your stories, like even if it's just like, today I'm working on editing a YouTube video for a client, and then you just show a quick sneak peek. The more that you start doing that, then the more you want to share about it too. So then you'll have thoughts of other random parts of your day where you want to share something that happens to be connected to your niche. And then that is what I grab, and I'm like, just grab that and let's put it towards something else. Like I have a client that does Reiki and like healing, spiritual healing. And I was watching her stories yesterday, and she talked about the new moon, and she said something about like, hey, quick tip about the new moon. If you were feeling blah, 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 like you're going to want to have, it has to do with your specific chakra. And then for that, all you need to do is just grab this kind of crystal. And then that was it. And then that was her story. And immediately I was like, that could have been a reel. Easily.
I was just thinking that when you said that.
Yeah, easily could have been a reel. So I told her, I was like, girl, you're putting good stuff on your stories that people only see for 24 hours. Let's start thinking about making this into reels, because then people can see it more, because even if it's being like, 3 weeks or whatever, there are people that come into your profile and they start checking all of your posts. So there it is. Or maybe for the next new moon, you have someone asking you like, hey, what could I do about this? And you already have a piece of content ready to be like, oh, let me just share it with you real quick. Grab the post and just share it with them. Boom. So it just makes it so much easier for a lot of things like that.
I love that, kind of just redirecting them to whatever content piece fits.
Which makes you look more as an expert, right? Because it's like, oh, she already knew this. It's happened to her before. Great. Like, okay, this is the kind of person I want to work with. Like, she's prepared. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally like boosts your like authority and shows that you have this like knowledge and skill for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously we're talking about like working with clients, video editing, like content creation, posting on stories, posting on your feed. What tips do you have for time management, or how do you manage your time? Because obviously you're doing so many things with your coaching, with your done for you reels, in addition to your content. Like how do you manage your time and stay focused and productive?
So it's a lot about prioritizing. And I realized this on the go because I was getting close to burnout. Actually, I did get burnt out at some point and I had to take some time off social media because it was just too much. It was too much I had to do. And at that point, making my own content wasn't fun anymore because I just felt like I had to do it. I had to show up. I had to keep posting. And at some point, I wasn't even strategizing anymore. I was just like posting something so I could survive in there. Like, just, I was literally like holding on to like a piece of the boat that I jumped off from, just being like, keep me afloat somehow, you know?
And be like, hi, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just floating. I'm like trying. I can't really swim. I'm just like floating. You know what I mean? Like I can't thrive. I'm just trying to survive. And that
Hanging
is
by a thread.
not a good, yeah, it is not a good plan. It's not a plan. It's not a good place to be in. So I realized what I was doing and I was like, okay, I need to stop. So I feel like I took 6 weeks off. And this was over the holidays, over last Christmas into January. And it felt great because I felt like I took a weight off my shoulders and I gave myself time to really think what's next and really come back to strategizing instead of just posting for the sake of it, just to be seen, which doesn't really help you get the people that are actually going to work with you. It just, that kind of content just kind of attracts people that want free things from you. Because you're just kind of posting little tips here and there, but you're not really talking about your offer that much. There's not much there's not much thought into it. It's just you trying to survive. So it took me a while to kind of find the balance. And what I would recommend is to find a quantity of content that you can create weekly that is sustainable. Because if you have, let's say, 3 clients that you're making content for, and you're going to try to create content for yourself every day, you're dreaming, girl. That is not, it's tough. Like you're gonna get burnt out for sure. So, and once you get burnt out, your clients also get that, and you don't end up making good content for them as well. So we have to kind of prep for this and make sure that we put ourselves in a good spot. So when I came back, even I only was posting 3 times a week. And I told myself, whenever I feel like I'm ready to do 4 posts a week, then I'll up it. But for now, let's see how I do with 3 posts a week, because I was super excited to come back. I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna go with 5 posts a week because I'm ready to go. I have all this content, blah, blah, blah. But I had to kind of take a step back and be like, nah, girl, really try to focus on how much can you be consistent with for 3 months at least. And when I put it that way, I was like, okay, if I want to be like thriving and happy creating content, it's just going to be 3 posts a week. And that's okay. Just make peace with that. And then I realized that it's not bad. You still grow. It's a different kind of growth. It's slower, but you're still out there and you're still growing. You're still caring for your community, which is what it's all about. It's all about creating connections. Unless you're an influencer. If you're an influencer, all you want is followers, right? That's a different vibe. But
Yep.
if you're a business owner, yeah, if you're a business owner, the amount of followers doesn't really matter. What matters is the kind of community you've built with the people that came in to your account, to your profile. So for that, you have to nurture them. And to nurture them, you have to be in a good place, in a good mindset. Can't just be like posting random stuff. Right? So it took a while to get there, but I think I had to put a lot of thought in what I could sustain without being burnt out.
I 100% agree. I think that it's very challenging, especially I don't know if you're doing this full time, but if you are working your day job, which I still am, it's tough, like trying to create content, post that many times. At the time of this recording, I'm not posting as much because I'm planning, the launch of the podcast and such, but it is incredibly tough. And I find that if you are also a business owner at the same time, it's almost like some days like you're drowning or like you can feel burnt out and lonely. But I love that you really emphasize the fact that you need to nurture your community, because in the end, I think that that's what's really going to help you get through this, but also they're the ones that you're basically doing this for. Like they're the ones that you're trying to serve.
Yeah, like if you think about it in like a physical world, if you have a store and you already have 60 people in the store that are interested in what you are selling and they're asking you questions and they're trying to see how they can, use your products, but all you're doing is leaving those people and going to the front door and calling more people, like these other people, they're going to leave at some point because they're not attended, they're not being cared for. They're not, they feel like, oh, okay, so you just wanted me in, but now that I'm in, I don't mean anything, So that's the kind of thing that we have to think about. The fact that these are real people. They're not just like robots, These are real people that have feelings, that are here for a reason. So we want to take advantage of being there with them and like figure out what their actual pains are, like how to help them, all of that stuff. They're already there. You already brought them in. You just kind of have to keep nurturing that. And I was speaking at a virtual event a couple weeks ago, and I gave this analogy of your content is an invitation to a VIP party. And it's just the invitation. You got in because you created this piece of content. But now that you're in the party, are you going to take advantage of it and, get to know people and talk to everyone? Or are you just going to sit in the corner and not do anything? Or are you going to go outside and just be on your own? Like, those are the things that we need to think about, It's, we have to think about the fact that social media is a free platform where we can market ourselves. This wasn't even possible 20, 30 years ago. You had to run ads on the paper, on radio, and those were, you have to pay for those. Yeah. So we have this beautiful opportunity of a free platform where we can put our marketing strategies in and put all our offers and everything out there in the world, and it's free. So we need to take advantage of that and really see it for what it is. It's a beautiful opportunity to really put ourselves out there more and market our offers so people come to us. But we forget. I think a lot of us, we forget because it's just, you don't see the people, the real people. You just see like online people. You're like, they're just online people. Like, no, they're real people.
Right. First of all, I 100% love that analogy. I think that makes complete sense. But second, I think that you're absolutely right in terms of social media being this fantastic opportunity. I think that a lot of us almost take it for granted, and a lot of us don't see the fact that it can change your life forever. Like this YouTuber like company, social media company, Think Media, that I follow, they say that you're only one video away from changing your life. And I 100% agree with that. So I think a lot of people don't really see like the advantages of it right now, maybe because they don't think that they're capable, or they think that it's hard, or you have to be born into like a certain like social class to do it. So my question would be, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? Because I think that even the most creative, successful people on social media have that feeling of imposter syndrome, myself included. But how do you get over that hurdle?
Oh yeah, it comes up. It never goes away. And I've talked to people that are very successful, that are making seven figures, and it still comes up. So, because I kept thinking, like, oh, maybe when like I make a lot of money and I'm really successful, like it won't be there anymore. Like, no, it's still there. So that's when I realized I needed to find a way to deal with it. And for me, what's helped a lot is something I read or heard on a podcast. I can't remember who said it, but they said that you should name your imposter syndrome. And being able to name her, well, mine's a her name's Zora. And I gave her that name because kind of funny, but Zorra in Spanish means like kind of like a mean girl, like that kind of vibe.
Oh, we
right?
don't like her. We don't like Zora.
Yeah, we don't like Zorra, right? But Zora without the extra R, to me, it was like more of like an elevated version of the mean girl because my imposter syndrome is on another level. And it was kind of fun for me to just name her. So ever since I did, it kind of gave me that connection of being able to recognize that's a part of me, and that is also, it's within me. It's a person within me that I have to care for and attend to, but also let her know like, hey, thanks for showing up, but I'm good. And another thing that I realized that helped me a lot is that when your imposter syndrome shows up, it means that you are challenging yourself. You're doing something that is taking you outside of your comfort zone, which means that you're on the right path because you're trying new things. And your imposter syndrome comes up saying like, oh no, this is different. We haven't done this before. Like, we're going to fail at this because we don't know how to do it. But if you really think about it, she is only showing up because you are doing the right thing, which is stepping outside your comfort zone, trying something new to solve something, a problem, or achieve a goal, or whatever the reason is. But you are doing the right thing. So whenever your imposter syndrome comes, it's a good thing. And nowadays, I just embrace it and I say like, oh, Zora, what's up? I see you, girl. Okay, this means that I'm challenging myself, which is a good thing. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. You can move on now. Thank you. I'll see you next time. So I know you're going to show up. But like, I treat it that way, and I have a conversation with her and I tell her like, thank you. Thank you for showing up, because thanks to you, now I know that I'm on the right path. Bye-bye now. See you next time,
Are you having trouble with social media? Need a content creator, a video editor, or need social media management? Well, those are some of the services that I offer. Go to reneeswarrior.com for more. Now back to the show. I really like that. I think it's good to acknowledge whatever vulnerability shows up, because I do actually do the same thing. Similarly to when I get feelings of anxiety, I'll tell myself like, acknowledge this anxiety, and that's okay. And that actually makes me feel so much better. And that's something that I've learned through like meditation. But I love that you gave her a name, because it makes it real, but it also proves that you can make like that person go away through like being uncomfortable, through just like feeling it and thanking her for being there, and then like telling her to leave.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. It's not a bad thing that she's there. She's not going to bring you down. It's okay. It's okay that she's there. And it could be a him too. I have a friend that named hers Bob. And
Oh,
she
we
was like,
don't
I
like
named
Bob.
I named him. Yeah, she's like, I don't like Bob. It's such a boring name. Like, I don't care for him. So it's just like, I'm gonna name him Bob. I'm like, oh, okay. So yours is the him. Okay. Well, that's okay too, you know. So, but just having giving them a name, it just kind of makes it easier to acknowledge their presence. And then also telling them, like thanking them and telling them, okay, like thanks for being here. That was great, but I don't need you here right now. Thank you for letting me know that I'm doing the right thing. You can step away now. And you know what's really important too is to talk about it, because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it, and it stops you from new opportunities. Like this one, for example, this came from a post. This opportunity, you reaching out to me for us to do this podcast, came from a post where I talked about imposter syndrome. And it was because I posted that I got featured at a few different things this past month. And I wrote in my caption, my imposter syndrome, it was good for my imposter syndrome because it helped me realize that I'm really good at what I do and that I am worth it. And like, if you're out there feeling the same way, like put yourself out there. And like a lot of people connected with that, and you being one of them, reaching out to me to do this with you. So that created a new opportunity. Why? Because people connect with vulnerability, and then people go through the same struggle. So if you mention it, I can assure you that there's going to be someone out there that's going to be like, oh my God, me too. And that's where you make the connection. Like, it's just huge. That kind of connection that's deeper than like, oh, you like peanut butter? I like peanut butter too. Like, no, this is deep. This is like a hard struggle that you're going through, that I'm going through too. This makes us sisters. Like, we're on the same path right now. And then also brings me to a level where you don't see me as like, oh, she's like so perfect. She's an expert. I'm never going to get there. Like whatever she did, I'm not going to be able to get there because she's so perfect. No, I'm a human being too. I'm just like you. I started where you're at and now I'm here, but I did it by being vulnerable and by putting myself out there. You can do it too. So it's really important to put that out there.
I love that. That was very, very inspiring. And in the end, we're all human beings. And I think we all crave that authenticity and that human connection. And that's why people will connect with you when you are being vulnerable and being real, because I think a lot of people can tell if you're being fake or not online.
Yeah. And it's also, we forget about the fact that there's that word social media platform. Like, we have to be social. We have to be out there, put yourself out there, talk to people, connect. Like, it's a huge part of the whole social media platform. Like, there's social right there. So take advantage of that part too. And if you do it right, if you really show these parts of yourself that you were scared of, that people might judge you for, it's gonna pay off in a good way, because you're gonna find the people that connect with you to that. And if other people are like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you talked about that, you don't need them. You don't need those people. No, they can leave. But
You don't
you
need that
want the
negative
people that
energy.
connect. Exactly. It's even better because that way you're just like, okay, they don't like this, they can go. Great. I'm glad I don't have that negativity in my life anymore. Thanks for leaving. I'd rather keep the people that have the positive mindset and that want to keep growing and realize that, you have to be vulnerable at some points to grow, to welcome growth. So I'd rather keep a smaller group of really connected individuals as opposed to having a lot of people just there because, I don't know, they like tequila too, because I like tequila too. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's such
Right.
a surface level. It's a great way to start, connecting on things, but it's such a surface level connection as opposed to connecting on over something deeper, which is imposter syndrome.
Right. And in the end, I think that the people that do question like why you're doing something, like I feel like those are the people that maybe not intentionally, but maybe subconsciously would like to see you fail, or don't necessarily want to see you have that growth because maybe there's something inside where they want to do that, but they just can't. They can't get over like that hurdle of, for example, imposter syndrome. Dalia, as a Reels expert, can you tell us some of the top strategies and tips that you recommend for business owners that are just starting out, or for people that aren't necessarily social media savvy?
Yes. Go-tos for real. My biggest advice is just to get out there and start trying, but with some strategy and some order. Because if you're just trying random things and then you're not looking over what you did, or you're not like looking at the statistics or the insights, or like, and you just keep trying constantly, like you're never gonna move forward, right? So we want a little bit of order in here, to have like a little bit of like, okay, so on Mondays I'm gonna post about this, and then on Wednesdays I'm gonna post about this. Like, you want to have at first than anything, your content pillars, which are the same topics that you're going to be talking about every single time that you post, right? Then you want to have a goal for your post, because every single piece of content needs to be connected to an offer or to a freebie or to a way of them contacting you. Like, because if there's no connection, if there's not a call to action at the end, then what's the point of you wasting your time posting something? You're just posting to survive again, which is not what we want. You always want to have a goal, even if your goal is to have more reach, to reach more people, then that's a goal. And then the call to action there is follow me for more, or DM me if you want any, whatever. But you always have to have a goal. Always, there has to be a connection to that comes to you, and offering your stuff, offering your service. Because it's a business after all. You own a business. If not, you just have a group of friends that you hang out with all the time, right? It's not a business. Yeah. So that's something that needs to be in there. For Reels, for sure, I recommend to have a hook. Like, this is something that everybody's going to tell you: have a hook, a body, and a call to action. For the hook, which is the most important part, this could be a visual hook, a text hook, or an audio hook. For a visual hook, it's going to be something that is video that is moving. And this is something I tell my clients a lot. And I have like a huge guide of explaining how to make video that is engaging. Because if you just put your tripod there and you're just talking to it, it's just one shot. There's no depth in there. It's almost like it's a picture movie. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not like nothing is moving. So people's attention span is so short nowadays. They're like, next, 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 So you have to create some kind of movement on your video, which could be just like you zooming into something, or even like moving, which is, it's called a pan, which you move to like from left to right like this. That's already like some kind of movement. Or a tilt, which is, move from like bottom to up with the same fixated area. So it's moving. There's something else happening there, right? That catches people's eye. Another thing is an audio text, which is when you hear those little effects, like, or like, like those little tiny effects. They do a lot, and you can add them on CapCut. Very simple, like super simple to add. And it adds a lot because it kind of catches the attention. A lot of people do watch Reels on silent, so they might not see that part. But for the people that do watch it with the volume up, it really catches their ear. Like, it's another sense, right? Another thing, use subtitles. If you're talking, always use subtitles. Like I said, a lot of people watch Reels without the sound on. So having subtitles is huge. try to add your brand colors in the subtitles if you can. Another thing you can do easily on CapCut. There's so many things that I can go over, but being
what about
able to
your?
have something. No,
Oh,
go for it.
I'm sorry. Because you also mentioned the call to action. What are some examples?
Yeah. So for the call to action, it's where you're gonna take people with that piece of content. So for that, you have to have your goal clear. And there's usually three types of goal with your content, which is reach, which means you want more people to follow you. Nurture, which means that you want to nurture the people that are already in your community, connect with them at a deeper level. And sales, which means that you want to give a connect to your specific offer, right? You want to market your offer. So those are the three goals usually. You could make content that have the three of them in. It's really hard. It's usually you pick one of them and then you spread them out through your week. So let's say on Monday you do a piece of content for reach, and then on Wednesday you do a piece of content for nurture, and then on Thursday you do a piece of content for sales, like that kind of stuff. So first you got to have that clear. And then depending on that is what the call to action that you choose. Like, for example, if you are doing reach, you're expecting more people to follow you, then the call to action is follow for more or follow for part two or that kind of stuff that like brings people in, right? Or maybe like you start doing like a series. Let's say you start doing trending Thursdays, which I did for a long time, which I was giving like trending audios on Thursdays. And then I will be like, my call to action will be like, come back next Thursday for more trending audios. So it's something that brings them back to your account and then they can keep seeing your content, right? Then if we're doing it for nurture, then the call to action would be something that has to do more with connecting with your audience. So, and then the kind of content is usually more along the sides of your specific expertise, less about tips and hacks and all that stuff, and then more about your specific expertise and what makes you the perfect person to help with what you do, more about your brand values, your personality, like that kind of stuff. Then the call to action there would be like DM me if you want to talk about a specific thing, or it could even be something in the captions as like, if you're talking about something that you love doing, then you could be like, do you love doing this too? Let's connect over that. And like sometimes that even takes people to the DMs and then you start like connecting over something that was just a piece of content. And then you're talking about a lot of other things and then you're becoming friends. And, that connection is just priceless. And then for sales, you usually want to take them to your DMs or to your website or to a piece or a place specifically where they can look at your offer, right? So I like to do DMs a lot, like DM me the specific word for whichever. If you don't have a specific thing that you're selling, have a freebie at least that you're collecting emails with, because there's no point of trying to grow if you don't have a specific goal that you're going towards, right? Like if anything, try to build your email list so that way when you do create your offer, then you can send the email to all these people that already signed up because you gave them a good freebie, and then you're constantly promoting your freebie up until you have the time or you figure out your offer, and then now you're promoting your offer. So you always kind of have to have like a goal with all your pieces of content and a plan for all. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I love that you mentioned email addresses because I mean, it's something that I need to improve on, but I know that it's basically like insurance for, let's say, if whatever app that you're on gets taken away, for example, TikTok, like if that's banned from the US and a lot of creators are solely on TikTok and nowhere else, well, there goes their income, there goes their living basically.
Yeah, definitely. So collecting those email addresses, it's gonna be It's a huge backup. And these are warm leads, like the people that grab your freebie, they are wanting something from you. They get the freebie and they're excited. So they already know the kind of thing that you can offer, like the quality that you can offer. And that's another thing I recommend. Make that freebie something really good, something that people are like, oh my God, I can't believe she gave that for free. Because if people think that way, they're going to be like, if she gave that for free, imagine how much more value she's going to give me when I pay for something. So that's what you want people to think all the time, right? And once they're in your email list, it's good to at least send an email at least once a month, just to like keep up. And on the email, you can also kind of talk about more of what's going on in your life and that kind of stuff. Like it's a little more relaxed, and then you can connect it to like, hey, if you need anything, I'm doing coaching right now, blah blah blah. Click here if you want to learn about that. See you next time or something like that. Like at least once a month to keep up. During launching time, you have to email way much, but just to keep up with it, I would say at least one.
I love that. You also mentioned earlier trending audio. I saw that recently you were saying that trending audio is out. Can you elaborate on that and what you mean specifically?
You're gonna have to watch the live for that.
Darn.
Well, I'm doing a live on Thursday. That talks about why trending audios are out. I can say a little bit. I did that because a lot of people think that you just, you grab a good video and then you just put the trending audio and then you're gonna grow. And then that's it. And there's so many more things that go into consideration besides that. Even just with the trending audio, like what is the level that this trending audio is at? How many reels have been made with this trending audio? Is it at like 500 reels? Is it at 5,000 reels? Is it at 70,000 reels? Like now, does it connect to your brand? That is it part of your brand vibe? Because if it's not, why are you using it? There's so many things that trending audios are not necessarily or should not be the go-to. But we're taught to believe that, okay, if I use a trending audio, I'm going to grow because I'm just going to get on the train and I'm going to grow. But plenty of times that doesn't happen. So yes, trending audios can help you to grow, but definitely they don't help to sell. So if you're trying to get clients and like sell your products, sell your offers, trending audio is not the way to go. And I'm going to talk more about that in the live. It has to do with messaging. It has to do with other things. And the audio is the least important part of it. So that's why I created that.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I think in the end, what it really comes down to is your content. Because if your content isn't good and you put trending audio that's like popping off, that doesn't mean your video is going to do well if the content stinks. Like you can't just put decoration over something that's a hot mess and expect it to go viral.
Yeah, it's all about the vibe, honestly. The things that the videos that go viral, they're all about the vibe. If you really look at it, it's not about the trending audio. It's not. Yes, there is the value in there, but there are a lot of viral videos I've watched that there's not necessarily 100% value, and it's more about the vibe that they're putting in there, the personality that's in there, like the mood that they have when they're doing it, the joy that you get from watching it. Like it's all of these emotions connected to the vibe, which I don't think a lot of people think about, but the vibe that you bring to your brand has a huge impact on how your content gets seen. So yeah, I'm going to talk a lot more about this on my live, but yeah, trending audios are not necessarily the go-to if you are trying to sell and talk about your offer and get clients and that kind of stuff. It's a specific like thing that you can do if you're an influencer and you just want to grow your followers. That would be like, that's where trending audios fall into. That's for that specific kind of group. That's where they work the best. But for business owners, this shouldn't be all part of your strategy all the time. Maybe now and then, here and there, but specifically curated for you. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So earlier you mentioned CapCut. Are there any other softwares or apps that you recommend for business owners?
For content creation?
Yeah, for content creation, specifically Reels.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have an Amazon storefront. If you go on my Instagram, on my link tree, you're gonna find it in there. I have a bunch of tools in there. But what I recommend for people to get started with, at least, would be a tripod and a lapel mic. Those will be my two go-tos. A lapel mic is the little mic that you put on your lapel, right? On your shirt, let's say, right? So you can talk to it. Please never grab a lapel mic like a mic. They're not supposed to be that way. They're not supposed to be grabbed like this close. They're supposed to be put over here. So when you grab them too close, you keep hearing the like, that kind of back sound. Yeah, because you're not supposed to use it that way. I see a lot of people using it that way. It's not supposed to. Or maybe they use it to be funny. They just like, I've seen it like put something random. They put the lapel mic on something random, like a piece, like a toy or something, just or like a banana or something, which works for it to be funny, but it's not how it's meant to work. But yeah, so I would recommend the lapel mic for your talking reels because the sound is much better for sure. And then it takes away all of the sound from your surroundings. I didn't start with the ring light. I did get one at some point, but I don't use one anymore. I don't think it's such a huge tool. And let me tell you why. Natural light is your best friend.
Oh, there's no replacement.
Because yes, and you just have to know the timing of the day. You have to know where your good window is. If you're outside, if you're like, make sure that you're not into like patchy. You don't see all patchy, where like in areas where there's shade and there's no shade. Like there's a few different things that you need to look into to make natural light work. I actually have a freebie on how to prepare with for your phone, your surroundings, and yourself on my Instagram. It's on my link tree there, if anyone's interested. But that explains more of all of this, and it gives a lot of tips on how to set yourself up for success for filming, right? And I feel like once you get that down, then it gets easier to create with natural light. And then also I've noticed that ring lights, sometimes they create this color or like this hue. It's kind of like a yellowish hue on your face sometimes that I don't necessarily like. And I feel like it also kind of makes your eyes like bigger than they are. And to me, that pushes you away from connecting with the person that's watching. That's how I see it. And that's why I always recommend do it with regular natural light. And I always like advise this is the time that you should do it. And like all of that's in my guide on my Instagram link. But yeah, so I will recommend those two things, just the tripod and then a lapel mic. Even a lapel mic it's not a must for the beginning. You can just do your tripod and just make sure that, your surroundings are not so loud. For editing, CapCut is my go-to. I adore CapCut. I've tried so many other platform or softwares for this, and CapCut is just so user-friendly. And there's a lot of free features that are good enough to make it look good, and it's very easy to use. I definitely recommend getting CapCut instead of doing it on the Instagram app, because the Instagram app glitches a lot and
that's horrible.
You lose stuff. Yeah, you can lose stuff quickly, and it's just it's a pain in the butt, honestly. Just don't use that. Just use a different one. Use CapCut. And what I do is like I try to do my hooks, like the text hook within the app. So I will upload the whole video, the whole reel, and then just add the hook within the app because they do say that the eye tends to go to something that they are familiar with. So when people see the Instagram font in there, sometimes they relate to it more and they don't see it as like foreign. So, and I have noticed that my reels that have that are more viewed and like more, yeah, they keep people in. So that's something I try to do. I don't do it all the time, but I try to do it. So I use that. I use Trello for organizing my content. It really works for having a plan, having a system, having all my ideas in there. I separate my ideas for like nurture, reach, and sales, and I move them around. I have a calendar on Google Excel, no, Google Sheets. Yeah, I have a calendar that I created for myself on Google Sheets that I like to put all my ideas first, and then after I have the ideas and I can see it on a calendar mode, I send them to Trello. And then on Trello, I add more. I add like the captions. I add specifics about the reel creation because I like to have bullet points or like real scripts where I know what I'm going to be doing. So then the filming time is not taking that long, and I can get it done quickly. So that's really important as well. And yeah, and I also use Canva for covers, real covers, or for carousels. And I recommend to create templates for all of this with your brand colors, and then just reusing the templates, just changing your picture and whatever text you're going to put in there, right? But it's the same font, it's the same colors, and it just makes it look very aesthetically pleasing on your feed.
In terms of content creation and actually like creating the content, let's say for like 1 week, do you create all that content like with the captions? Do you create all of that like ahead of time, or are you a little bit more spontaneous with it in terms of like when you upload and post it?
So I like to have a calendar with my ideas for the month, and because I constantly get ideas. I have a log where I add all the ideas that just come up at any point. If you are observant, you realize that there's ideas coming up constantly. So the trick is just to write them down immediately because if not, you're gonna forget. So I have a log where I just put them all. I don't judge my ideas. They can be super outrageous. Just put them in there, and then I don't do much more. Like I just put the idea and then I let it be. I keep going on my day. So then when I'm planning for the month, I sit down and then I look at the ideas that I want to use, depending on the goals that I have, and I put them in this Google Sheet calendar that I have just to see them more. Because I'm a very visual person, so I want to see them in calendar mode, like the days that they're going to be posted. So I pick dates. And I recommend this a lot to pick specific days and try to post the same days around the same time because people come to expect you around that time to be there. So if you're posting, let's say Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m., then they know for sure, they start noticing that and they know like, oh, okay, so she opens her store Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. That's when I can catch her and maybe I can ask stuff. And, that's people start realizing that. It does help to kind of switch it up one day and just do like maybe on Wednesdays you post at 6 p.m., but Mondays and Fridays you post at 10 a.m. It helps to do that to kind of to catch a different audience as well. And it having those times figured out, it just happens with trial and error. Like I would recommend if you're just starting to try a bunch of different timings and then look at the end of your month and see like which ones got the most views, engagement, and all that. And then for the next month, try to keep it all under those days and those times. So that's what I do. I'll put it on my calendar. and I look at it on my calendar. I like to do more nurturing posts at the beginning of the week. Then I'll go into selling if I have anything specific midweek, and then nurturing. And then towards the end of the week, I go and I do reach. Why? Because my reach posts tend to be like entertaining, edutaining, right? Education and entertaining. So it matches really well with like the weekend vibe. Like on a Friday, it's good to post it, or on a Saturday in the morning, and it matches it. So, but I had to figure this out after posting all these different kinds of content at different times, and I had to see what my audience was reacting to, and that's like a huge thing that you always have to be looking at what your audience is reacting to and how they're seeing it, how they're engaging with it, right? So then after that, I'll put it on my Trello, and that's when I put it on my Trello. Which on Trello, if you know, it's basically like a flashcard that you can open up, right? So one flashcard will be a piece of content, like the name of the reel. Let's say is 3 types of hooks that you should use in your next reel, and that will be the name of the flashcard. And then I click on it, and then I dive into it there. Like I write all the captions. I don't tend to plan the whole thing at once. I tend to do the ideas in the calendar one day, and then a few days later I'll be like, okay, what do I have for this week? Do I want to batch film all of this? What do I want to batch film? And I'll create what I want to create. Whatever I don't want, I'll just be like, okay, I'll just do it the day off. But I have a guideline, and that's the main thing, to have like a base to work from. So you're not on the day that you're supposed to post, you're not like, oh my God, what am I supposed to post right now? What can I do? Like, which idea should I grab? So you're not like, oh, because that feeling of like, I don't know what to do is the worst feeling. Like, I absolutely hate that feeling of like, yeah, this will be valuable. Yeah, let's do it. Just put it in there. So having a plan is huge for that. So for me, that's the best job for that, is to have it on the calendar, just have all the ideas kind of planned. But the actual creation of it, like the video creation or the carousel creation, comes after. And then I try to batch once a week. But like if I don't feel like filming, then I would either look at my B-roll folder and see if I can do something with B-roll, or I'll just leave it for next week. Yeah, I try not to be too intense with content, because if you want to be sustainable with it's going to be really hard to always expect so much of yourself. And you're going to get burnt out if you're always like, I have to do it at this specific time. Like, oh my God, my window's closing. I need to post right now. Everybody's leaving. Like, no, it's fine. It's all okay. People are around there. They're going to show up. They're going to see it. It's okay if you don't get all the most views that you want. You want the people that are connected to your content to watch it. Even if it's just 5 people that watched it. It's great. Just keep posting. It's not all about getting all this vanity metrics of like, oh yeah, I got like 5,000 views. Like, yeah, but did you sell anything out of those 5,000 views? Or is it just random people that saw it? So yeah, so like having a plan like that helps me.
How important would you say that your analytics are? Is that something that you look at often, or is it something that you kind of take with a grain of salt and just look at for reference?
Yeah, I look at it monthly. I look at the posts that did the best, and then I kind of look at what did I do on those posts. Like, was it the hook that got people? Was it kind of video? Is my face showing more? Is it mostly B-roll? And also for people that don't know what B-roll is, maybe we should explain it. B-roll is basically videos of you doing something on your day-to-day, or it could be landscapes, or it's just video for the back of it, like not necessarily you on it.
Basically, like video footage.
Yeah, video footage of things that are not you. That's B-roll. It could be you like on your computer, but you're not directly looking at the camera. It's like you're looking into someone else's life from afar. It's like they're not connecting or like talking to you. And I have a folder for that as well, which I recommend everyone to have. Have a folder on your phone that you just call it B-roll. And whenever you're out and about, you go to the beach one day, take a couple of seconds and just do like a quick video like this, or even like looking at your legs on the sand and just like going up, like just have a couple of videos like that. And then little by little, you just keep adding and adding and adding. And then so you have them ready in there for whatever you need. I use some of my stories a lot too. So yeah, I do that a lot with B-roll.
I love that. I think B-roll is a secret life hack when it comes to content creation, just because it's so versatile and you can put whatever you want, just slap some text and you're done.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be all your content though. You should still have some content where you're talking to people because you want to establish that connection and that vibe that I'm talking about. Like when somebody watches one of my reels, the first thing they tell me, I love your energy. I love the vibe in here. I just love the joy that you're bringing. To me, that's amazing. Like, okay, I was able to put my essence into this piece of content. And that's what I try to do for my clients as well. Connect it somehow, put that thing that makes me, my own secret sauce, and I connect it to my content, right? So that's what brings people in. And that's what makes people want more of your content, more of you, more of what you offer. So I think that's huge. That's really important.
100% agree. Since you brought it up, Dalia, can you tell us what your secret sauce is to becoming a successful entrepreneur, successful reels expert, a successful social media coach?
My secret sauce. I can't reveal that. um, there are so many things that go into play, but I think the main thing is to allow yourself to be you. And I know that this gets said a lot, but there are ways to add your own voice to your content, and it's absolutely necessary. People need to hear your message. And I say allow yourself because a lot of times we think that, oh no, like maybe that's being too much. Or, you know what, maybe I shouldn't share this thought because it's controversial. And then it will, scare away some people. Or, well, they don't need to know my stance. Or like we constantly, I am willing to bet that at some point in your life, you were about to make a piece of content or post something and you were like, maybe no, maybe I shouldn't post it. Maybe it's like too much or like maybe just not enough or like, you doubt yourself. So I think by allowing yourself to be you with your content, it opens so many doors to connect with people at a deeper level. And it's even good if you're controversial because you're standing for something specific. Yes, a lot of people are going to unfollow you, but you don't want those people anyway. You rather want the people that are going to be on your side and you're talking about something that's important to you. So I like, and also like, don't make it too intense about, politics or the things that they tell us not to talk about all the time, politics, relationships, like that kind of stuff. I tend to steer away from. One, because I'm not that interested in politics, honestly. But two, because it's like too serious of a thing and you can't really get to a point quickly or you can't solve it right away. Like it's kind of hard for people to kind of hear your voice on it as well. But what I mean more by standing or by having a stand on something, I mean it more on your niche, on your industry. Like, for example, in my industry, I stand for trending audios are not that big of a deal. Like, that's one thing that I'm going to talk about. And there's going to be people that are going to come in and be like, no, you're wrong. Trending audios are huge. Like, they're big for growth. And I'm like, okay, I get your point, but this is where I stand and this is why. And I'm going to attract the people that believe the same, that are like, oh, well, I don't want to use trending audios. Then come to this side. We don't use trending audio, like, so those are the kind of things that I'm like, make a stand for, or like experiencing imposter syndrome. I experienced it too. Like, put yourself out there, put your experience, and like make a stand for the people that have gone through it as well. So a lot of times we kind of feel like, oh, let's just stay very general and very neutral. But if anything, I advise you to be less neutral and less general and more you, add more you on it, because we have plenty of neutral people out there. I don't want to follow them. I want to follow someone that's not afraid to be themselves, whatever it comes with that, right? So yeah, that's something that I always try to mention, because I think it's really important.
I love all the little nuggets that you put in there. That was phenomenal. So we talked a lot about mindset, entrepreneurship, social media, and content creation. What's the one thing that you want listeners to take away from this conversation?
If anything, the last thing that I said, actually, like, allow yourself to be you. If anything, just because it is the heart of who you are. And then also create a community of people, have like a group of people. This could even be just one other person that you talk to about business, about entrepreneurship. Because a lot of times people around us don't know what we're going through. Like our partners, our family, most of them, they haven't gone through this. They don't know what we're experiencing. You could go and tell them, but they're not going to understand. And it's a different level when you talk to someone that understands the specific struggle that you're going through, and having them tell you, hey girl, it's fine. I've gone through it too. Like, it's okay. It just makes you feel like, okay, I'm not alone here. I can keep going and keep doing this. Just having that community is so important. So important for having a successful business, really, because there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to feel down and you want to go and talk to your close circle. And it's different from like your friends, your best friends, right? Your best friends are amazing and they're there for you to vent about like your anything situation, right? But they still might not understand the business part of it. So I have my best friends and my business besties, basically, that are in two different realms. Actually, I have one of them that's in both, which is great. But our conversations go really long because we talk about everything. But yeah, having a group of people that you can talk to, that you can relate with, is huge. It's really, really big. And I definitely recommend that. It does wonders for your mental health, and it does wonders for keeping you motivated to keep going.
I absolutely love that. There's power in numbers, and a support system is so important and can really keep you going, keep your sanity.
Yeah, and there's also people you will sometimes you're like, I mean, if I don't know this, maybe this other person doesn't either because they're going through the same stuff. But everybody's different. So there might be something that you're like, oh man, I don't know how to make fun. That is like my bestie, my business bestie does. Like, it's good to have someone be like, hey, I was trying to create a funnel and I couldn't figure it out. Like, do you use any softwares? And then boom, she gives you 3 different like softwares that you could try. And like, hey, this was my favorite. And it comes from a source that has been doing it, instead of you looking on the internet of like, how do I figure this out? And it takes forever, right? Like, it's just so nice to have that person or people right there that they could help you right away. And they do it out of the kindness in their hearts because they know that you will help them back at some point, just because that's the community that you built. It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
Yeah, I think that it's great because I've experienced that with my current following, like on Instagram. It's a lot of the rave community because I used to do a lot of rave specific content, but I think that it's It's a great place to grow. And like you said, just get all the support. But Dalia, I can talk to you forever. I want to thank you so much for being on the Boss Sauce. Tell us where people can find you to book your services and connect with you.
Yes, thank you for having me as well. I love this talk. I love talking about entrepreneurship. It's like the best. You can find me on Instagram. That's where I focus the most. DaliaforReels, Instagram.com/DaliaforReels. And there you can go on my link and you can find everything, you know, all my services. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on coaching. I do have Done for Reels still open for specific clients, but mostly for new clients, I'm doing coaching for social media. It can go from anything from content creation, content ideation. You don't have any, you know, can't come up with ideas. I can help you. You don't know how to film. I know exactly what to do. I can help you. You don't know how to edit. I know a lot of tips on how to edit. I can help you. So there are so many ways in the realm or stages in the realm of social media, and I can help you with mostly all of them. And if I can't, I have plenty of colleagues that I can refer you to, and I love doing that because those are my people as well, and I trust them.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Dalia, and I'll plug all that stuff down in the show notes. We'll see you guys next time, everyone.